Look, building an AI agent used to mean you needed a massive developer team and honestly, a pretty huge budget. But today, I'm going to prove to you that absolutely anyone can build an agent in under 30 minutes with zero code. Welcome to NextGen AI Tech. I'm your host, Elah, and today we're demystifying agentic AI. We are going to walk through a super friendly step-by-step explainer on what an AI agent actually is and how you can conceptually build your very first one to completely automate the boring, repetitive parts of your week. Okay, let's take a really quick look at our build map for the day. We'll cover chatbot versus AI agent, the anatomy of an agent, the 5-step build process, how to avoid common mistakes, and finally, why this matters today. All right, diving right into section 1, chatbot versus AI agent, and how we move from just talking to actually doing. So for the last couple of years, we've kind of been trained to use AI as this really smart conversational partner, right? But think about it like this. A chatbot, no matter how brilliant it is, essentially just has one ability: producing text. If you ask it to find the cheapest flight to Tokyo, it can really only tell you how you might go about doing that. An agent, on the other hand, it actually connects to your tools and does the heavy lifting for you. It looks up the live prices, selects the absolute cheapest option, and literally clicks book. It makes this massive leap from just being a brain to actually having hands. Moving on to section 2. Let's look at the anatomy of an agent and its 4 core parts. So, how exactly does it make that leap from talking to doing? Well, every agent needs 4 specific pieces to function. First up, it needs a trigger to wake it up, something like a new email hitting your inbox. Second, plain language instructions. This gives it reasoning, essentially telling it exactly how to think about the task. Third, it needs tools. These are the software integrations that allow it to take real-world action. And fourth, it needs memory. It needs short-term memory so it doesn't lose the context of what it's currently doing, and long-term memory, kind of like a database, to remember your specific preferences and past interactions over time. And when that trigger is fired, the agent's brain springs into motion through something called the agent loop. It's so cool. It plans its next step, calls a tool to take action, and then, crucially, it observes the real-world result. Like, did the search return an error? If it did, it just loops back, replans, and tries again, until the specific goal is successfully met. It's basically thinking on its feet. Okay, section 3. Let's get into the 5-step build process from idea to action. Now for the really fun part. Let's conceptually build your own digital employee, again, without writing a single line of code. Our roadmap is simple but incredibly powerful. We're going to define one highly specific goal, pick a visual, no-code platform, write clear instructions for the agent's behavior, connect the apps it needs to actually do the job, and finally, test it thoroughly. Listen, step 1 is honestly where I see most people fail, so pay close attention here. You absolutely must start by picking a highly specific, narrow goal. Do not try to build an agent to, run your entire sales department. That's a disaster waiting to happen. Instead, build an agent to specifically qualify incoming sales leads from our website form. See the difference? Once you have that tight goal, step 2 is just logging into a no-code platform like Zapier or HyperAgent. These platforms are amazing because they let you build visually. It's literally just snapping building blocks together. No code required. Next up, you write your prompt. And in the agent world, a prompt is really just a set of clear instructions. Think of this exactly as if you were onboarding a brand new human team member on their very first day. You sit down and explain, hey, this is what a good lead looks like, and here is what a bad lead looks like. Then, in step 4, you connect your integrations. Maybe you give it access to Perplexity for research, or Slack so it can shoot you a direct message. Remember, these tools are the agent's hands. Actually, before we talk about testing this whole setup, I want to pause for a second and ask you directly. Drop a comment below and let us know what boring, soul-crushing, repetitive task you would hand off to an AI agent today. Seriously, whether it's organizing client invoices or just sorting out your messy inbox, I read every single comment and I would love to hear what you personally want to automate. All right, let's jump into section 4, avoiding common mistakes and protecting your agent. This brings us to the absolute most crucial phase, which is testing. Because an agent actually takes action in the real world, like sending real emails to your actual clients, vague instructions can quickly snowball into real-world errors. If it gets step 1 wrong, the next 10 steps go completely off the rails. And that is exactly why testing your agent on simple, single-turn examples before you actually rely on it is mandatory. Don't give it a massive complex task on day 1, simplify it, and make sure the core logic actually works first. And to prevent those runaway errors, a recent Stanford paper brilliantly illustrated this concept called having a human in the loop to safely govern your AI. In really simple terms, you just design your workflow so the agent does all the heavy lifting, but then it pauses and literally asks for your human approval before taking any high-stakes actions, like, officially booking a non-refundable flight or sending a final pricing quote to a customer. Also, from a security perspective, enterprise experts are constantly reminding us that we need to treat these agents as non-human identities. What this means in practice is you use least privilege access. You only ever give the agent the absolute minimum permissions it needs to do its specific job. If its job is just to read your calendar, do not give it the ability to delete your emails. You have to keep your data secure by treating it like an employee who only has a very restricted keycard. Finally, Section 5, why this matters today. Accessible automation. So why is understanding this so incredibly essential right now? Well, you should care because building these systems used to require expensive developer teams and literal months of coding. Today, this kind of crazy power is accessible to absolutely anyone who is willing to spend just 30 minutes clicking around in a visual builder. It completely turns manual workflows into automated systems that operate 24/7 and they never ever burn out. But look, remember, the absolute smartest way to begin is to not get overwhelmed. Please don't try to automate your entire life in one Sunday afternoon. Start by building exactly one small, highly useful agent. Master the loop, test it thoroughly, and then expand from there. Because unlike a standard chatbot that literally forgets who you are the second you close the browser tab, a well-built agent works tirelessly in the background. As AI educator Vaibhav Sasinti puts it, you build it once, and it remembers you, and it keeps working long after you've shut the laptop. Ultimately, this whole thing is about buying back your most valuable asset, your time. Thank you so much for watching this explainer. If you found this friendly walkthrough helpful at all, please hit that like button and be sure to subscribe to NextGen AI Tech for more practical AI tutorials and breakdowns. You now have the blueprint to build your very first digital employee. So I guess the only question left is, what are you going to automate first? And what in the world will you do with all that newly freed up time? Get out there, start experimenting, and I absolutely cannot wait to see what you build.